Welcome to Bill and Rob's An Excellent Adventure. I'm Bill Tilley.
And I am Rob Schulte. Bill, we're back at it again with another spooky episode for Roboween. Roboween? Have we?
I was going to ask you the phonetics of that because I've been using the pronunciation both ways because I like Roboween because it's you. Roboween sounds like we've built a robot that goes out and asks for candy and then terminates anybody who tries to take it.
I think we're just going to continue debating this at the top of each episode, and the listeners will tell us what it should be called next year when we follow up with Roboween.
Oh, man, I love having a theme that's an agent of chaos. This is a wonderful gift. Well done, Robs.
You know, who knows? Maybe we'll do Roboween in July.
Man. Rob, here's a question before we get started proper.
Okay.
I'm a little old school when it comes to holidays. Are you okay with when holidays get moved? Are you okay with things like Christmas in July or like Halloween on the 24th because that's the Saturday and you don't want to be out on a weeknight? Are you good with that kind of stuff?
I would say my first answer is no, right? Like, we don't need to be moving things around. Like, if Christmas falls on a Tuesday, them's the breaks, right?
I like it.
That's what happens. I don't think we need to do like Christmas in July. Like, July's got a holiday that I'm already annoyed with due to my dog, but it has a holiday. You know, you can't go a month without a holiday, but sometimes you need the lesser thans so that like the Christmases, the Thanksgivings, you know.
I enjoy those because the lesser thans you get to enjoy a little bit more because they're a little less work if you want them to be. Christmas,
and if you get off of work from the 9 to 5, even better.
Absolutely. And since I have become I won't say newly minted because it's been a couple of years now, thanks to my marriage, but a more appreciative person of the Halloween spirit that I like keeping it. I like keeping it separate. I think Halloween, though, you kind of can consume that within the whole month. I know you could say that about Christmas in December, but Halloween's a slightly lesser than that you can just rock out for 31 days straight.
Well, I agree, and it's kind of why we extended the run of Roboween so that as people prepare and want to watch their horror movies throughout the month, we are giving them plenty because there are Halloween parties. You know, in September, that is the month that's like, what? You got Labor Day, which great holiday, but that's at the beginning of September. You got nothing till the end of October. But once you hit September, it's like the pumpkin spice lattes are out. You need to be filling your time with some sort of theme, and you're just on the precipice of Thanksgiving, which is practically Christmas now. Ugh. So you got to keep things orange, and I am hoping that we are aiding in this orange horror feeling because, Bill, here's my last thought on this. It's like not every movie in our Roboween theme is like the scariest thing on earth. And I think that also has to be part of it, right? It's not just to scare, it's just to like be eerie too.
True. Makes you think. And I like to think that as somebody will be listening to our show at that time of the year, and when what I consider to be the equivalent of the robins coming back to signify that spring is here, as the Halloween stores in spirit cities pop up in unused storefronts in strip malls across America. Yes. That is my sign that truly the Halloween season has begun.
Absolutely. Bill, today we are watching one of my favorite movies. It's one of the few movies on the list that I have seen that I will say this. Let me pull up our list real quick. I have seen this one and I have seen next week's movie, but I had not seen next week's movie for many years. So it'll feel new to me. But this movie I have watched once before and I had to put it on the list. It is incredible. And we're going to get through. It's peaks and troughs in today's episode, but I should probably read the back of the box, right? I should
Please
probably
do.
say what it is too, but
Yeah, I mean, we don't want it to be one of those kind of don't understand, it's a mystery type of moment. You know, like we'll
yes.
do this whole review and never say the name of
Yeah.
the movie and see if anybody can guess it and then send it to us on the internet. But we won't
And
do
of course, they'll have seen the title of the episode, but maybe they don't. Maybe they
True.
just say, put it straight into my ears. We are watching Soul Survivor from 1984. And I know when Bill hears that 1980, he's like, yes, thank God.
Home
Same.
again.
Same. But Soul Survivor 1984. Here's what the back of the box has to say, Bill.
Sure.
This bone-chilling tale of terror focuses on the plight of a lone survivor of a devastating plane crash. Haunted by bizarre and deadly happenings, the sole survivor has cheated death, and now death wants to even the score. Denise Watson, a young advertising executive who travels constantly, boarded the plane with her usual nonchalance, accustomed to flying on business. But this particular flight would change her life forever. Shortly after takeoff, the engine stopped and the airliner fell back to Earth. I'm breaking the back of the box here because we're getting so much more story than we got in the movie. Airliner fell back to Earth. The wreckage and dead were scattered everywhere, but oddly enough, Denise emerged unscathed. Life goes on, but Denise begins to feel out of place, as if she no longer belongs. Unexplainable things begin to happen. Pale, hollowed-eyed strangers begin to appear. The inevitable doom she had mysteriously avoided is now closing in. And this time, there will be no sole survivor. Wow.
I'll tell you, Rob, I am a fan of this back of the box because everything that is stated on here is at the very top of the movie. It doesn't give you the full explanation. And this is stuff you see right as the movie starts. It is the perfect jumping off point into what's going on with this movie.
We don't learn about Dr. Boyfriend.
No.
We don't need to know about weird cab drivers that we'll talk about later.
We don't learn about wacky coroner.
Nope. We don't learn about psychic actor.
No, we don't. We don't learn about spunky but a little bit saucy next door teenage neighbor girl.
Yes. College neighbor.
Oh, that's right.
Curly-haired boyfriend.
Yeah.
But that's okay. What we do learn is the basics of what this movie is about and why it is so great. God, some of the things I want to talk about are in my facts, but I'm just going to breeze over a little bit, Bill. Like, this is a movie that has, I feel like, taken elements of it from horror films of days yonder, right? Like what creepy stuff used to be, and is still like probably a point where people will go to when they're trying to make something new. I think that although this film has issues, and tell me if you think this too, this is a film that could be shown in a like college level film class that's specializing in horror.
Yes, I do agree with that.
Yeah.
Because this movie does the thing that we like to see in a lot of these movies. It does a lot with a little. And it's easy to say the little is always because it's low budget or the resources, but the story's the story. And just because the story doesn't have a ton of moving parts doesn't mean that it's bad or undefined or weak in some areas, because this movie has a central antagonist and protagonist, but the antagonist is essentially invisible. It's a concept that's not there, but yet there are agents of that protagonist in this movie that come up about. And it's a great use of the surroundings and the idea and stripping something down and just telling a basic story in a really, really fun way. Yeah, I do agree. It's got some issues and we'll talk about that. But overall, I like the intent and the overall execution of what they pulled off with this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is definitely something, like you said, I think it would be great to watch more of these movies, especially for people making film studies classes or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just so it's so easy to gravitate for the last 15 years to this giant stuff and, everything be an Independence Day or a big sweeping or $200 million spectacle. And it's like, look, you got to start out small. And
Yeah.
this is a good way of showing how you can do that.
And it's the perfect sort of film that you could write a college level film paper on, pointing out the problems in the filmmaking, but like
Mm-hmm.
why it still is what it is, like why it could still be liked for like a cult following, but also in the sense of like the hand of the executive and when that comes into a film, right?
Sure.
I
Yeah.
think that there's about a good 20 minutes of this movie where you can tell some cigar chomper had their say.
And that may be the most evil influence on any movie ever, is the
It's so
hand
true.
of the executive. Boy, that
Yeah.
could be its own movie in itself, Rob. I bet we could
Ooh.
write that. We know a little bit about that kind of stuff.
Idle Hands of the Executive. The sequel. Bill, so should we get some fun facts?
Absolutely.
Or as I'm calling, cargo.
Love it.
So, okay, this is related to what I was talking about, Bill. The movie is obviously based off, or at least taking a lot from Carnival of Souls, which at the time of this recording recently was released on the Pumpkin Spice podcast feed. So if you want to talk about that, filmed in my college town of Lawrence, Kansas, partially.
Nice.
But it obviously influenced Final Destination, another plane of existence of film.
Mm-hmm.
See what I did there?
I do. Boy, you are just laying it down just great tonight. I'm proud to be here.
But Bill, dare I say, it's better than both of those films? Having recently rewatched both of Carnival of Souls and Final Destination.
Yeah, I believe you. I've not seen Carnival of Souls. I understand what it's about, and I have seen Final Destination, so I can agree with that. I do think it's better than that movie because, again, different ways to approach the subject. A lot of those older movies, you can see that vibe of there's one villain or there's one creature or there's one evil to fight and there's one main character, and you spend your time with those two elements going at each other most of the time. And a lot of modern stuff is like, how many teenagers can we get in this movie and how many different ways can we kill them?
Yeah, exactly.
And granted, there can easily be there's fun to be had with that concept if that's how you approach it. This movie doesn't do that, and I like it for it because this is the kind of horror movie that I can get behind, and I really see the influence of old Hollywood coming through on a lot of this. So I see your point, and I think I agree with it.
Yeah. Well, what's some cargo you're bringing to this flight?
So one of the things that dovetails right into that is I found out this movie was shot guerrilla style.
Hell yes. This is like Maniac Cop.
Yep. No permits. And their budget was right around $350,000 in 1984, which sounds still like a lot, but it's not. It wasn't a lot back then to make a movie, and it's damn sure not that way now. The director, Tom Eberhardt, they did the classic thing. He worked for the PBS station in town. That's how he got this job. He got to use the studio for part of the movie. The old chestnut of friends' houses, cars, clothes, anything they could scavenge. He had a friend at the air traffic control tower nearby that let them shoot in that scene. They had a friend at the air traffic control tower that let him shoot in the control room.
Yep.
For the plane scene as it's coming in. And there was a hospital that had an unfinished floor that they let him shoot there to showcase their new equipment that they got and just give them some exposure. And the great part about that is, you think of a lot of low budget movies. Well, they did the things they had to do, but Eberhardt turned around and used all that. He turned around and used as much of that money as he could to shoot on 35 millimeter instead of 16 millimeter.
Wow.
To impress the distributors, to show that this movie was a production value and to get it into the theaters, which he didn't just pocket it and they didn't just waste it. Like, this is somebody who's really thinking about What do I do
Yeah.
with this money? How can I make the best use of it? And of course, 35 to 16, that's an insider thing that, most people wouldn't know, but it's true. You can tell by the look of the movie. And just from the one we were watching online, I think it looks pretty good. You can tell that it's not just grainy VHS tape or blown up 16 millimeters. So
Yeah.
I think this is a great example of that guerrilla filmmaking. So you could definitely write a theme paper on that.
Oh, I love it. I love that because everything. We'll get into that part of it. Let me just say my other cargo fun fact, and that's that Anita Skinner, who played Dee Dee or Denise, or the main character, has only been in 2 movies. Bill, she was in this, and she was in one indie film before this called Girlfriends, and that's it. She's very good in this movie. I am so surprised she didn't have more roles.
Aren't you always shocked when you find out that fact about somebody that's in the thing and you go, why haven't I seen more of them? And it's like, I did my one and I'm out.
Yeah.
And my understanding is, in watching some of the stuff I saw, that I guess the shoot was tough and some of them just went, nah, I'm good not doing this anymore. And I think she might have been one of them. And it's possible, Robs, in my research that I may have found her online.
I was looking. I wanted to see if she could come on the show.
I managed to find a web page for a real estate. I found a web page for a realtor company in, I believe, Virginia, and they have the little picture of the agent up in the corner. I really think it's her. I couldn't swear to it 100% because she's changed, but facial features and everything looks the same. So I believe she is a fairly successful real estate agent now.
Wow.
She's pulled a Robin Curtis from Star Trek The. She went from Savick to salesperson. So that's pretty cool.
I love it.
Do you want to call the office and ask and see if that's her?
Yeah, we'll have to do that for a bonus episode, everyone. If you want it, we'll do it when we hit 50 patrons.
Absolutely, we will make that call.
Yes. What else did you have on this cargo net?
Well, my other fun fact comes back to Tom Eberhardt. It turns out he directed one of my favorite movies. This very next movie after this was 1984's Night of the Comet.
Ooh.
And I am crazy about that movie. I have seen it so many times, and watching it and looking at this movie versus that movie, which I didn't know till after I'd watched it. So I might want to go back and watch it again to pick up on some stuff. But I definitely see some of his style now that I know to look for it in Night of the Comet, especially like how some of the night scenes are shot and how he does a lot of rough angles, and just he likes to use height, like shooting down on things, like in the stairwell scene with Dee Dee and the psychic actress. So it was really neat to find out that, oh, cool, he did one of my favorite things, which I guess in a way it always kind of makes you retroactively like a thing a little bit more, which may not be the best way to be, but that's how I'm going to be. And I like it a little bit more.
If it does it, it does it,
Mm-hmm. So that was great.
That's awesome. Well, wait, now Night of the Comet. Sorry, you've got me on an IMDb.
Oh, that is a Catherine Mary Stewart, Kelly Maroney from Chopping Mall.
Robert Beltran.
And Robert Beltran is in that movie. So great movie. It's the one I've had on my wish list of pumpkin spice discussion levels with Rob's for a few years.
Well, so can I ask you, Bill, do you have any? So this is, if people have made it this far, they're going to get some real insider tips here. After Robo-Ween, Bill and I are going to do some holiday themed episodes, give ourselves a little bit of a break, not dive immediately back in. But have you thought about how we're going to start off the top of the year?
Well, given it some thought.
Is Night of the Comet going to be a part of it, is what I'm asking.
It's possible. Night of the Comet might be one of our extra episodes in between, because I got news for you. It takes place during one of the holidays that's coming up. So you never know.
I was surprised. This movie's Christmas time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was having this discussion with a coworker when we were doing the classic Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? And I'm like, look, there's movies that are shot during Christmas season, and then there's Christmas movies. So, but I I think this one's just one of those that's shot during, but it's no long
Yeah,
kiss goodnight level of Christmas.
that's true. That's true.
But I don't hold that against it.
And remind me, Bill, next episode when we're recording Arlington Road to talk to you about my long kiss goodnight, Arlington Road, Broken Arrow, and the like theory that I have.
Whoa.
Yes,
I will
because
get out my.
and I think I've told you about this though, but like my dad's flying leathernecks mistake. And this is next week. We'll talk about it next week.
Everybody spread the word, because you're going to want to watch the video for this one as Rob puts up his big ball of red string and stick pins it all over the wall behind him.
It's what you have to do when you watch movies like Arlington Road. Bill, should we move on to our next segment?
Absolutely. What would you call this one, Rob?
Oh, well, we're doing likes and dislikes, so it's got to be First Class and Turbulence. We'll start with First Class. I went First Class last time. Why don't you go First Class this time?
Sure. One of the things I like about this movie is that it is a horror thriller.
Yes.
The movie's got great elements of suspense and really creepy, unsettling moments, but it's not a slasher fest where the kills are the big sell. This is a one-person story and some elements of the people around him, and it's not a gore fest. It's not about that at all. If anything, there's a serious lack of gore in this movie, but there's not a serious lack of scary moments or unsettling moments or creepy moments, and I like that. This again leads me to these kind of movies. I'm not here for the buckets of blood. Maybe once in a while, because I love a good Bruce Campbell movie.
Sure.
I'm selling
Sometimes
that up front.
It can be very fun.
Yeah, it very much can. But this movie that's even called Soul Survivor, it feels like this should be a one-person show. And so I'm glad they made it that way. And that made it really appealing to me.
Yeah. To that point, Bill, something I really liked was just that the spookiness of this movie comes from the unknown, right? The film itself almost feels haunted. Kind of in the way like, have you ever seen Cruising with Al Pacino?
No, I haven't, but I've heard of it.
Okay. Well, have you also heard that like they had to edit it down so much that like elements of the movie don't make sense? Well, yeah.
I believe it. I've seen that happen in movies before, so I know what you're talking about.
I don't think it's that bad in this film, but I do think that there are things that happen in this film that you said it perfectly, are creepy and unsettling, not horrific. And that is a different type of spooky movie that I really enjoyed. Don't get me wrong. I love Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. I love Texas Chainsaw, all of these movies, but each one is unique in its own way, even if a Friday the 13th is a straight up slasher, right? This is a thriller and it's ominous. And yeah, like I said, it feels like a haunted movie. Something is wrong with this film. And I like that. What's your next like?
Well, it's similar to what I said before, but I think the stripped down nature of this movie and the fact that it's one person main focused, we get to really follow Dee Dee's experiences throughout this movie, and you get to learn some of her backstory. You don't need a ton of it.
Yes.
But you get to learn it for one person. You don't have to go through the BS of a bloated cast and hearing the Breakfast Club like rundown of the 25 minutes of the past wrongs, which works great in that movie because that's what that movie's about. But there's those scenes, especially in big cast movies, where you've got to sit through, my problems with my dad or my things at home or whatever. And it's like, and none of that ever plays into the deaths in the movie or the crazy instances of the movie. And it's just weird filler that I guess is supposed to make you like or dislike that person more sometimes, depending on what they say on screen.
Yeah.
Which has a bit of value in it. But, we kind of know who Dee Dee is right from the start, and watching her just go through this crazy experience really is the impactful part of it. And focusing on her makes this movie fairly intense.
Yeah.
And when that way, when the stuff happens on screen around her, it does catch you by surprise. So I'm glad that the movie didn't try to make up for lack of budget by too many wacky characters or too much side story going on. They just kept it focused. And I think it really worked in its favor.
Totally. To that point, maybe I said to that point again. Whatever. I'm making a lot of points, and both Bill and I care about them.
Points are good.
My next thing is like, they don't spell out, like you were saying, what happened with Dee Dee in her past. And that's part of this. We just get glimpses of her having trouble. There's all the meds that she has. There's a point where she's like on the phone where she says something along the lines of like, no, I didn't say what happened 4 years ago. It's like, what happened 4 years ago?
Right.
You know, she's had issues which make it hard for her to believe. Like, yes, there's an element to this movie we're going to talk about in a moment that like takes away from this, but everything leading up to that is so great because like in Carnival of Souls, like the whole thing is that like the woman in that movie died in the car wreck and she's just like reliving glimpses of her life as she's dying. And so you could totally see this in this movie of like, oh, she's back at work for the significant, like annoying work day. There's a man that she fell in love with. There's a problem with transportation. Like all of these things is almost like your life flashing before your eyes or something. And I like that up until the point that we'll talk about very soon, it could have been just that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That actually struck me as we're watching it. So your point's valid. And it usually would be a moment in a movie where I'd be like, oh, come on, movie. Are you going to do the thing where none of this is real? And I've wasted my 90 minutes, but I didn't feel that way. I really just was interested in the answer of, well, is this going to be one of those things? Is that part of it? Is it just a perception thing? And it was creepy enough that it carried through until the moment that we decide to tell us what's going on. So, which is
Bill,
fine.
We should hit that turbulence, right?
Yeah, let's strap into that seatbelt a little tighter and let's just take this baby head on, Rob. So, what is the element that you disliked?
We both had this note down. Would you like to say? I think you've got it eloquently put in our notes.
So, it's my biggest one of all is the story seems to change the rules about halfway to at least partway through towards the middle of the movie. The whole time in the first part, it feels like Death is stalking Denise. That seems to be the vibe of the thing. She's survived it. She survived the plane crash. And now, of course, Death wants her because she even says it, like she got away with something. She has her whole analogy about her past with the whole stress and getting it for free bit. But then it pivots and we start seeing dead people or what we assume are dead people or something. These people just start appearing silently, staring straight ahead. And when they're first on screen, I got it because as the movie progresses along, I feel like, okay, is it that we find out these people have recently deceased? The first couple of them, I'm like, oh, is Death able to reanimate these people because she's nearby? Because this is the circumstance, and it's weaving the thing, and I'm like, this is interesting. I'm going along with this. Are they at one point going to try to take her? Are they going to attack her?
May I say something real quick?
Absolutely.
I think it's perfectly fine to see these potentially dead individuals with staring eyes following her, right? Until other people see them.
Right.
And interact with them. And like that coroner who's like, there was blood, you know?
Yeah, those things start to play out. And of course, so we now know they're not vision. But then they suddenly turn into assassins.
Yeah.
So they start killing other people near Denise. And I didn't understand this anymore. Like this movie went from I thought a balancing the scales thing of Denise has escaped death. Death needs to bring her back to pull it out. But how is that balancing the scales if the assassins start killing people around who are just there doing their jobs or living nearby or being her friend? That doesn't make any sense. And they kill them well far away from her. They don't serve any purpose at all. So it just really threw me a loop, and I didn't like it. And when we get to the end, I'm even more confused.
Yeah.
So the movie just seems to switch this thing halfway, and I did spend the last half of the movie going, all right, I don't understand now. Is this death or is this something else that I'm looking at? So I like that. I wish the story had stayed focused the way it was and done something more in line with the feeling and the idea of what started out with, instead of just these things are just going to kill and keep killing. And it kind of felt a little Evil Dead to me. And I don't
Yeah.
think that was a good fit for this kind of movie.
These dead bodies either constantly need to be attacking people or physically trying to grab Dee Dee, or they need to not do it at all. The fact that at one point her neighbor gets killed by another dead person that was presumably stalking Dee Dee, but somehow just decides to kill a rando neighbor, and then that rando neighbor goes Michael Myers and pulls a kitchen knife. That doesn't make any sense.
No.
So, like, keep it consistent. And this is what we're talking about, where like someone came in and was like, well, if you want this to be in my studio, you need it to be like Halloween.
That was my theory, is that somebody looked and went, we need to ramp up the action in this. We're not doing enough, and they need to start killing some people. So let's just start doing it. And feels so tacked on. I have to believe that this was not originally how this story was supposed to go.
Totally. The only other thing I'll say, it's pretty simple, but it's like there's some sound issues in this, and maybe it's the podcaster in me, but you cannot understand certain lines, and it's a little tough without subtitles. Maybe that's the budget, maybe that's something else, but I think when like she hears the whispers, that's different. Like maybe you don't need to know what they're saying is the whisper, but like some just straight up lines from characters are just difficult to hear.
Agreed. I noticed some of those sound issues too. I could pretty much tell the whispers. I'm different. I try not to do the subtitles because I want to watch the movie and not be distracted by that. But there are moments where I'm just staring at the thing going, look, I know my hearing's bad from years and years of rocking Van Halen at top volume, but I have no idea what you just said.
Yeah.
Or sometimes what it meant. But
yeah.
Totally agree with you on that. My only other thing was, as much as I like a lot of this movie, the pacing can really drag at certain points. It kind of feels like padding and filler scenes where we get to watch people just do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Just taking a long time to walk from one room to the other, driving places that they could just be at from the moment they get in the car, long strolls across things. It goes on a little too long, and you can always feel it. And that happens in a lot of movies, but in this one, the only drawback is I do like the actors in this movie, but when they're given these long filler scenes, they start to feel a little wooden to me. And they probably did to them because they don't really doing anything. They're just carry box across room, look in box, wait for phone to ring, go to other room, pick up phone, talk for a while. It's not a good use of your time, but I get it. Filler is a thing and it's a necessary evil, but it drags this one down a little bit.
For sure. Well, Bill, should we move on to our amusing moments segment?
We sure can. Does this have a clever title, Rob, that will make me laugh again?
Well, if you know me and you know airplane lingo, then you'll know that this segment is called Deadheads.
Outstanding.
Those amusing pilots that just fill up the good seats that we tried to buy, and then the pilot has to ride on the plane, and so you get bumped to the middle seat. Yeah, that's a deadhead. I'll just start it off. We've mentioned this character before, of the smoking coroner. He's jaded, but what's great is that he thinks, like at the end of this movie, he gets the last lines, and he's talking about like these dead bodies that have been coming in that we talked about, who have been pronounced dead in one area, like sitting in a car or in a pool, but the blood has drained to their legs as if they were standing when they died. And this is going to be his big break.
Don't
I
see
love the
how.
idea of the big break for a coroner.
Yeah, what is the presentation of your big break? What are we proving that the dead can walk? And basically, your big break is going to crack society in half when they find that out. So I'm not sure I'd be all that jazzed about it, but I do get why he's jaded because every movie coroner has to do their job in a basement cinder block room with only one light bulb in the budget, which is so
Yep.
strange.
Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah, he's a kick, but his end of the movie part, and I don't want to discuss it directly, but I will say it really threw me for a loop, his final scene. There's an element of a thing that happens that makes me question again, what the hell was Death doing in this
Yeah.
movie? Because
Yeah.
it kind of comes out of nowhere. So everybody watch it and send your thoughts to me on social media and let me know what you think when you see it because it's weird.
100%. What do you got, Bill?
Well, I did find a few amusing moments, and
Hmm.
I'm going to not do the easy layup of always like amusing because this is a thing from the 80s. This was different. So after the required by horror movie law TNA scene that they managed to work into the movie, because they got to have it, Denise is over at Christy's house. Christy's her neighbor, the college girl, and she's hanging out. The kids have been over there having a little party,
Yep.
doing some
Playing
stuff.
strip poker.
Yeah,
Strip poker.
as every single college student ever has done, I'm sure.
Sure.
And so they take off, and Denise comes over because she doesn't want to be alone, but she's tired. So she falls asleep on the couch. But these kids have been burning a ton of candles. I don't know. There's a thing about me and candles in movies. Where did they all come from? Who lights them? How long did it take? So this room is covered in burning candles. So when Denise falls asleep, Christy immediately slips out of the house and takes off and leaves all these candles burning while Denise is asleep on the couch. What the hell, Christy?
Yeah.
Like,
They
no
didn't have
safe.
the PSAs that we got in the 90s, man.
I think she's just a scofflaw. I think
Yeah.
she's just so horny for everything she wants to do. She has no time for fire safety, and
No
that's just
time. Too
wrong.
horny for fire safety.
Yeah, and this is the 80s. Like Denise is wearing a big frizzy cowl neck sweater. You know there's Aquanet everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
This is a disaster waiting to happen. So points off for Christy for her massive amounts of fire negligence. Not
It is
cool.
not
And your
cool.
friend. You left
And-
your friend there.
And all of those light bulbs directly in that Christmas tree, like, this is a nightmare waiting to happen.
The 80s were so flammable. So
Oh, man. The only decade more flammable than the 80s? The 70s.
well, yeah. But there was also a lot of asbestos and things too. So
Oh,
it wasn't the fire that would
true.
get you, it was the cancer later.
Yeah, that's true. But
So-
it comes for us all. It's called
Well,
the woke
yeah.
mind virus.
Absolutely. So what amusing moment came for you in this movie, Rob?
I said smoking corner, but my bigger one would be the character of Carla Davis, the actor in the coffee commercial that Dee Dee's producing. Carla was so believable as this like famous 80s, well, famous in the 70s and kind of on the decline now in the mid 80s actor that I had to look up to see if this was one of those things where they just put a real actor in a movie as an actor, you know? Because there is that like weird element that we got a lot in like the 70s and 80s. And we, to be frank, we still get it now,
Right.
but of them like being so rich and so like above and like just living a different life that the actor has to be into some sort of like clairvoyance or mysticism or something, and it clouds the judgment of a lot of people. You know, if it ain't that, it's like transcendental meditation, or they
Sure.
become Sting, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, but in this movie, the character of Carla Davis actually is clairvoyant. And
Yep.
how convenient is that?
Pretty convenient and a little bit shocking because they make mention of her being a washed up beach movie actress from the 60s. So they're drawing like an Annette Funicello similarity, but she lives in a nice apartment and she's got nice clothes. And I'm always surprised when they do the actor that's, you know, I'm down on my luck. I haven't had any parts in a long time, but yet they still have a nice place to live.
Yeah.
So if she'd really been like a beach actress, I think it would have been kind of fun if she'd been, like you said, they were into all that transcendental stuff. If she'd like lived in a hut somewhere, or they'd coaxed her out for this thing, she'd been a little more of not wacky. I'm going to take that back. Not a wacky character, but an interesting character, like someone you
Yeah.
look at and go, "You're not crazy, but I don't know what you are."
Yeah.
And that would have been a little more fun to play around with, because it might have made her clairvoyance a little more believable within the context of this movie. So, but
Fair.
she is a joy to watch on screen, because she really cranks the weird up right in front of
Yeah.
your very eyes.
Absolutely. Well, what's your final deadhead?
My final amusing moment of this movie that we will talk about is there is a cab driver in this movie. Denise takes a cab back to her house in the middle of the day, and the cab driver, who is a man of build and size and disposition that you would think a cab driver would be, he's got the radio on, and he thinks it's okay to listen to. I have it written down as sex ed radio, but it's not. It's almost like kind of Howard Stern, like,
Yeah.
titillating radio, racy
But it's
stuff.
like also like, tell me what
Tell me
it's
what you
so
like
weird.
and what you
Yeah.
don't like and what you would like. And he thinks he's doing this, and he thinks it's okay to do this while he's doing his job.
Yeah.
This is on in the cab. And not only that, he thinks it's also okay to turn around and ask his passenger about her sexual moves and what she likes. And I'm watching this going, dude, that's weird in any decade. This ain't no 70s or 80s thing.
Yeah.
What the hell is wrong with you? Nobody does this. And he does it with that weird kind of charming aplomb. And I don't know whose choice it was for her to play it off and just kind of give him shit back on the subject. But it was really weird, to the point where I'm like, is this guy going to assault her? Where are you going with this movie?
Yeah.
And he didn't. It just turned out he was just a weird, horny cab driver who just thinks it's playful to ask these kind of questions. So that was
wild stuff.
That was a moment that made me laugh out loud with its ridiculousness.
Same. And he gets his at a certain point in this movie, which
he does, but it plays into that whole theme of I'm not sure why this is happening kind of deal.
So true. He also has a gun, which I guess cab drivers generally at the time would be carrying.
It's a thought that would be believable.
Because this is pre-credit card machines in cabs.
Sure. It's also pre a lot of things. I'm pretty sure this is pre-Brady Bill, and it's just he has one of those jobs where kind of guy that might carry a gun. This was a real thing back in the day, so he does carry it. Doesn't help him because he don't carry it when he needs it.
Yeah, he didn't get it when he needed to.
Nope.
Well, Bill, we've talked a lot about Soul Survivor. We survived this film and this discussion, but how are we going to rate this movie?
I do believe we're going to rate this with our patented 5 nights for $1 system.
Ooh.
This is our system where we pretend to have gone back into the VHS store, and usually there was something by the checkout thing, a rack of movies that would say 5 nights for $1. You took your movie, gave me your $1. You could keep it 1 night, 5 nights, up to you. So we rate our movies based on the movie alone, not compared to anything we've watched, anything down the line, no franchises, sequels, or anything. Just you've put down your buck, you've gone home, you've watched Soul Survivor on your Sony Hi-Fi 4-tape top loader VHS machine. Now, how many of the rest of those nights are you going to keep it for? How much of an impact did the movie make? How much joy did watching it bring you to keep it for any more time? How many nights are you going to keep Soul Survivor for, Rob Schulte?
Wow. Well, Bill, I'm keeping it all 5 nights because I feel like this is a movie that you can go back and find more each time you watch it. I've seen this movie, I think, 2.5 times at this point.
Wow.
And it is, like we've said, it's not without its problems, but the problems bring more of a discussion. Like, it's like what I was talking about at the beginning of the movie. It is perfect for a simple undergrad film paper because you can see where the hand of the executive is in this movie to change it. You can theorize what it could have been. You can tell what it's been influenced of and what it is influencing. There are so many great actors in it, but like you said, have slow moments, stuff that is like eking on in time that could have been trimmed, but like the eeriness, the creepiness, the hauntedness of this film, the fact that the opening scene when there's a wreck and Dee Dee is still sitting in her chair perfectly fine, not destroyed, with all of the wreckage destroyed around her, is one of the coolest shots I've ever seen. I loved it. So this movie has so much going for it that I will be keeping it all 5 nights. Bill, how about you?
Wow, that is spectacular. I'm going to come in a little lower, but it's not a malicious low, as I'll explain in a minute. I would keep this film probably a good 3 nights
Okay.
with a break in between, because just like you, good movie. The movie spawns questions, and they're questions that I would be interested to go back and look at, much like the problems that we pointed out with this movie, even the hand of the executive coming in, the things that set it off kilter, like the dead coming back, but then the dead's role within the movie changing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it throws a wrench into my perception of it as I've gone, but it doesn't do it in a way that infuriates me. It kind of, if anything, it at least put me off kilter and made me wonder what was going on in a way that this whole movie does. So I think inadvertently it lucked out in that way, because being a smaller movie with a smaller cast, the problem can't ripple effect and cause a ton of other problems throughout. There aren't that many moving parts. And it's great to think about what's going on and why are they doing it. And it's got a great look. You can't beat mid 80s horror movies. You can't beat mid 80s settings for me. This is just great. I'll watch it just to luxuriate in that brown Camaro that Christy drives, just to watch it and go, oh, it was new. This thing was new back in the day. So I've got enough going on with it that I would revisit it for those reasons, and the fact that it was entertaining. It's not something that I would watch 1,000 times over,
Sure.
but if I want a creepy movie to watch that is something that, one, I can relate to, and two, actually makes me unsettled, this is a movie I would go to. And I absolutely agree that if you're going to watch film, this is the kind of film. I agree that if you're ever going to make film, this is the kind of film you want to watch and study to see how things are done. So, and yeah, the cast is really interesting. I like what's going on. So yeah, I think it's a solid 3 nights for me, and it's a happy, scary 3 nights.
Yeah. I like that, Bill. Let me ask you this. Is this the type of movie that your wife could watch? Or is this still too spooky?
I don't know. I don't think she would watch it because of the pacing more than the spookiness. I think it moves a little too slow for her. She's
a swift moving gal.
Kinda, yeah.
Needs things to be going.
You need to be able to marinate in a movie like this a little bit. So you need to be able to weather the slow parts, whether intentional or not. And so if you're not one of those people, this movie might be a bit of a stretch. I mean, it might be one that you stop and start.
Yeah.
To finish
and
it.
That's fine.
But if you do, finish it. It's worth the ride.
It is worth the ride. Well, you know what else is worth the ride? Rob Adler riding alongside you and me, editing these incredible episodes. Not only is he giving us the audio, he's now making fantastic video, which people have been seeing leading up. But at the time of this recording, he has unveiled his video editing abilities to us, and it's been great. And quite frankly, now at this point, it'll have been out for a few months, but he released an album, Bill.
He did.
Called NY Sticky, that people should definitely go check out.
Please do. Rob Adler, talented individual. So happy that he's on board working on this project with us. He is the pilot that will make sure our plane never goes down in the middle of the forest, and Rob and I do not wind up sitting upright in our seats amid a field of broken podcast dreams.
We cannot. Well, Bill, I got to say thanks to all the patrons out there. At this point in time, I have a feeling that they've just been flooding in from our Priority One message over at The Greatest Generation. So if you are one of those, let us know in the chat. We'd love to talk more. We'd love to know what you'd like us to cover in the upcoming episodes. And patrons, share this with a friend. The only way these podcasts survive is the fact that Bill and I have people like you that pledge your support to us. Bill, this has been great.
It absolutely has. It has been a first-class ticket to Horrorville. Watching this movie with you, Rob.
Well, I can't top that. So we'll see everyone next time on Bill and Rob's An Excellent Adventure.